Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6+ decades of doing wonderful things in our community with its financial literacies, supporting the arts, food insecurity, homeless, Alzheimer's. They are just involved in almost every major cause. And we are so thrilled to have making a return appearance, Dr. Wes Lundburg. He's the president of San Diego Miramar College. Wes, always good to see you.
You too, Drew. Thank you. Thanks again for having us on.
We cannot talk enough about all the phenomenal work that the community colleges as a whole do, especially Miramar College. I can't say it's a best-kept secret, but in some ways, I didn't realize community colleges do this. Doesn't take much time to sit there and go look at the website or go visit, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're very accessible.
Exactly. Talk about your mission.
So our mission is really accessibility, and that goes back. A lot of people are surprised community colleges were really established by the Truman Commission under Harry S. Truman. And the whole idea there was a commission found that one of the ways for the nation as a whole to launch forward would be to even the playing field for access to education, and that launched community colleges. And so we hold to that to this day. So whatever you see us putting out there as catchphrases or trying to attract people in, usually there's accessibility in it, whether it's DEI or whatever. That's what it's truly about, is just making sure that it's accessible.
Well, and it is, and I love the diversity of the student of a community college, from young and to, I won't even say old. Old is just a number. Talk about that range. It's huge.
It is huge, and it's been changing over the last couple of decades. When I started in higher education in the 1990s, you still had the 18 to 24 group looking to transfer. Miramar College has a lot of workforce development programs. Those have always been part of community colleges, and certainly not for transfer, but to put people directly into the workforce, so we have a direct impact on the economic development of our communities. But yeah, the trend has been to older and older, and San Diego, as we know, is a very expensive place to live.
Right.
Our students now, we've gone from less than 50%, well, put it this way, more than 50% being full-time to 75% being part-time. That shift is because people can't afford to pay the bills, so they're having to work. Most of our students work one job.
Right.
Many work 2 or 3 jobs, and then they carry their school load too. That really, I think, speaks to the grit, if you will, of students nowadays, that they're willing to do what it takes to change their lives.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Before we chat a little bit about some of the new buildings that are going up, I want to focus on the workforce, which is near and dear to our heart at the Classroom of the Future Foundation. And thank you for coming to some of our events as well, which is all about college and career pathways and so forth in this area. And again, when you think of community colleges, you guys are on your game when it comes to the workforce. You work closely with the EDC. You work closely with these different groups on what are the trends, what are going to be the jobs of the future and all that. But you got a new pathway with air traffic control?
We're working on it, yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. It's been surprising to me as I've dove in more and more on aviation programming, how nobody is really pulling it all together. You would think there's somebody out there that is. So,
right.
So, as we've all been watching the same news things with airlines.
Exactly.
Air traffic control is a part of that. Up until recently, the FAA had one place that you could go for air traffic control training, and that was in Oklahoma City.
That's unbelievable.
It really is, and it's antiquated, frankly. But they've opened up, and they're allowing colleges to. It's pretty rigorous to be approved for it, but we're working on that. Right now, there's only one college in the state of California that has an enhanced air traffic control program, and that's at Sacramento City College. We're both part of the Aviation Alliance in California, which was formed by myself and Jerry Buckley at Reedley College in Central State. Again, to fill that gap and try to be a clearinghouse, to identify what the workforce needs are and pull together industry, philanthropy, legislators, and the colleges. So we're all members of that. But getting back to air traffic control,
right?
We've leaned into that. We have some low-level air traffic control, airport logistics type courses already, so it made sense to do this. And then, as you know, we have the HH bond was passed.
Right.
So we have a facility at Montgomery Field. Many folks don't know that, but that's going to be beefed up, and the air traffic control program will be there with a full simulation lab. Just the equipment for that lab is going to run over $2 million. So it's quite the sophisticated thing.
Well, for the 16 billion people who fly every day, or whatever the case may be, is there anyone more important? Well, the pilots, of course. Don't get me wrong. But the pilots can't do their job if you don't have the air traffic control. Simple as that.
That's right.
And we all know what's been going on in some of these things here, and that's not to point any blame on something. But now you've got a robust area for it. I think that's terrific. And I think you and I have talked about this before, Wes. The skill sets you're going to learn when they go through the air traffic control program can transfer to so many different types of jobs. Mm-hmm. Talk about that aspect of it. It's not just one pathway. You can have many pathways.
No, that's exactly right. A lot of people don't know that there's 3 levels of air traffic control, too. There's when we talk about classic air traffic control, they're like 5,000 feet up and 5 miles out from the airport.
Right.
That's it. Then they pass you off to a flight dispatcher. So it's the same type of training and skill set, but it controls you from that level to close to cruising. And then they pass you off to a third person. If you're flying from here to New York, they switch you off according to what region you're flying over. So jobs in all of those. In addition, every airline has flight operations, the name's escaping me, but they do all the flight planning.
Right.
They look at the weather and figure out what routes are best for the planes. If you've ever been in a plane and I know you have, and you hit or are approaching a thunderstorm, and you'll hear the pilot come on and say, "We're going to reroute." That rerouting requires a flight planner to decide where you're going to go, what height, and things like that. So.
Right. So one of the things that is important in this area. Is there a shortage in these roles?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah.
At all 3 of those levels?
At all 3 levels.
Right.
Yeah. The good news is that the flight dispatcher, those folks that handle away from the airport, it's a lower level of training, so you can get a certification and not be a full air traffic controller and earn over 6 figures.
Yeah.
So,
wow, we're talking
not over, but in the 6 figures.
Well, but listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We're talking to Dr. Wes Lundburg. He is the president of San Diego Miramar College. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed, Credit Union. Building, and even more building. Talk about what you got going on at the college.
Yeah, so it's actually a district-wide bond project. So it's going to bring improvements to the district office, Miramar College, Mesa College, City College, and the College of Continuing Education. We're all going to benefit from this.
Nice.
Miramar in particular is focused on 3 projects right now. One is the Performing Arts Gallery and English building. This is going to help us open up the campus more to the community. Mira Mesa has long been behind, if you will. I almost threw some shade on the city. I won't do that. Just did, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just been underfunded and underplanned.
Right.
And so we're trying to open up some of our facilities so that the community has access to them. But in addition, there's air traffic control I mentioned, but the aviation program in general we didn't talk about. We have airframe, power plant, and a pilot school. So those are going to be enhancements, and then a child development education center will all be the major projects. If you drive by, you'll see these things under construction in the coming years.
Yeah, and I think all it does is just open up those opportunities for the students. What's the enrollment at San Diego Miramar College right now?
So unduplicated, each semester we have about 14 to 15,000 students. So,
right.
Yeah.
And do you see that number growing?
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah, right now, as of last week's report for fall, we're up 17%.
Yeah,
that'll probably taper off, but yeah.
Right. We come back from break. I want to talk a little bit more about that aspect of it, and talk about something that has been really interesting. It's been in the news about 4-year degrees coming to the community colleges, which I think overwhelming majority of people go, that's fantastic, for 75, different reasons in there. And we always spend time, as Wes, in the second half. What can our listeners do to support your efforts? When we return with Wes Lundburg, is the president of San Diego Miramar College. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We will be right back after this very short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of just doing wonderful things for people living in San Diego County. Always a pleasure to have in our studio Dr. Wes Lundburg. He is the president of San Diego Miramar College, just talking about the amazing things that are happening at his college, building more pathways, workforce development. But I think one of the things that we're going to talk a little bit about the 4-year degrees in a second, but I know something that you're so proud of, and all of the folks that are in community colleges throughout certainly the state, definitely in the San Diego Community College District, is your diversity, your inclusivity. Come one, come all. We don't care what you look like, where you came from. We want you to thrive.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So, the core of that really is valuing people for their entire experience. There's none of us that fit just one demographic, so you might be African American, Black, you may be gay at the same time, you may be any combination of all these subgroups that we identify. And I think that if we realize that and let ourselves understand just how multi fill in the blank we are, it opens up doors for us to look at people differently, and so that's what we're about. We don't just welcome folks in and make education accessible, but we celebrate who you are and where you come from, what your lived experience is, and as the district slogan is, be, become, be, belong, become. Be who you are. Belong here with us and become what you're planning on being. Yeah,
and I think community colleges do a fine job with that. I'm a product of a community college in Santa Monica, as you well know, and had some great instructors that certainly have a little bit of a different role than maybe the 4-year folks that have to publish or perish. As I'm not sure if that's still true anymore. I don't know.
It is.
Again, I thought it was in that area, and that's not to knock them as educators. That's not at all what I'm saying. Is that, but the focus on these teachers and your professors is on that student. And his laser beam on that student. And I think that makes such a big difference. I know I found that in my community colleges, and I was very fortunate. The same thing happened to me when I went to San Diego State. I just had some phenomenal journalism teachers talk about this, sort of move to 4-year degrees at community colleges.
Sure, yeah. So there's gaps, and that's, as always, that's what we're stepping into. So you may hear some spin out there about we're competing with the CSUs and the UCs. We're not at all.
Exactly.
We're identifying degrees that they're not offering, or making education accessible to those who don't get through the selection process that they have in place, which is not to say that students are not capable, just that they're not checking the right boxes. So we're offering degrees that perhaps you wouldn't find at a CSU, or they're here, but at this nearest CSU that you can get that program maybe 200 miles away.
Yeah, give me an example. What degree would that fall under?
So, well, I can give you a couple of examples.
Please.
Public safety is one that we do. Public safety management is a bachelor's program available at Miramar College.
Nice.
It's not available anywhere else in the state. It's the only one. And it's recognizing that our first responder professionals out there they're place-bound. They're in the career field. They can't go up to Long Beach to pursue a degree. They need that available here. And so it's opening up those possibilities. The other, you'll be interested in this piece of data, 65% of the students that are in our bachelor's programs, this is across the state, indicate that they would not otherwise be able to pursue it financially. If it wasn't available at the community colleges. You can get your 4-year degree at a community college for less than $10,000.
So to folks who graduate with $250,000 over here, Brandon Joe, our senior producer, just raised his hand and said that is him. And then you got to work at Starbucks for the next 75 years to pay that down. That's a tough nut in that area. And just knowing that you're going to finish up with this, and that's at most, is huge, is beyond huge.
Absolutely.
As you're getting, and plus the fact, I think that community colleges have always seemed to do a top-notch job in making connections with the workforce. You have a strong relationship to the businesses that you work with. Talk about that and how that benefits your students.
Sure, yeah. We every one of our workforce programs, whether it's auto, diesel, aviation, they all have advisory boards that are peopled by folks in industry. So they give us input on the curriculum, what they're seeing of our graduates when they go into the workplace, and that kind of being informed you don't find at 4-year universities. There it's more, we know what you need, so we're going to teach that, and then you go out and good luck.
Right.
But your curriculum in a workforce development program is tailored to the workforce.
And now you have a contact. So now you have somebody that's plumbing, pick a topic, doesn't make a difference, that know you. They know the university. Oh, you graduated from San Diego Miramar College. That's great. I remember you, or I heard of you, and I think we have an opening. And we all know that one of the things that is so critical, and I think the K-12 schools miss this, and they can focus on it a little bit more, is the importance of networking.
Yes.
Talk about how critical that is.
It's absolutely critical, and you said it well. We need to hire you on to be our spokesperson, but that's exactly right. It's those kinds of connections, and it's you touched on one piece, which is someone maybe on an advisory board recognizing the quality of graduates. But also the professors know a lot of people in the industry.
That's right.
And they might alert you to a job that's open. They may even serve as a reference for you. They connecting points.
Well, it happened to me, to be honest with you, and it happened to be a professor at San Diego State that made the recommendation for me to work in the schools as an editor, and then I wound up at the Union Tribune, and the next thing you know, I'm doing podcasts, for God's sake. What the hell was that when I was going? There wasn't anything there, as we all know. But it's those connections, and almost back to your 3 Bs. That is the mantra of the community college district. Belonging. And feel there's a place for you. In that area, I think is critical. One of the things I've always enjoyed talking about, as it's growing in our state and especially in our region, is dual enrollment with the K-12s.
Sure, yeah.
Talk about that. It is so cool.
Oh, well, there's so much room for expansion for that too. What we're talking about is students in high schools can take college credit courses while they're at high school. There are examples of students in high schools that graduated with their associate's degree from us before their high school diploma, simply because the graduation for the high school was 2 weeks after ours. But right. So it's kind of funny to say that, but it's at the same time, and that's just phenomenal. So they've saved 2 years of college tuition. They're ready to transfer if that's what they want to do. They can go right into a university.
You're 18 years old and you're entering as a junior.
Yeah,
basically.
That's exactly right.
Right. And when you stop and you think about that, and I go, well, that's just too good to be true. Well, it is true. Is that to elevate that and to make that more robust with the schools? Is that a money? Is it a resource issue, or not necessarily?
For
to
not
more,
expanding it?
Yeah, more of the dual enrollment program.
A lot of it has to do with preparation level of the students, maturity level, whether they're ready. There are agreements with the high schools.
I was going to ask you, how about with the high schools or the districts themselves?
Yeah, it's the district primarily, but also the high schools. And so we have a great relationship with Mira Mesa High School, University. We've all of our feeder schools we have great relationships with, and the faculty are usually ours going to the high school
right.
and teaching the class. But there's another aspect that's actually dual enrollment, where students from high schools can come to the college, take the class sitting next to other college students.
So now they're on campus, and we all know it is so critical for the student to understand what campus life looks like, to be on the campus of a college.
Absolutely.
It's a different animal.
So true.
You hit the ground running is so critical. What can our listeners do, Wes, to continue the amazing work as you guys always do at San Diego Miramar College?
Well, first of all, I would thank your listeners for listening, because that increases their awareness of what we're about, and that it's going to come into conversations. So don't shy away from those conversations, please, folks. Lean into that and help promote and spread the word of what we are. But also let your legislators know how important the community colleges are and how they're serving a role that no other educational piece does. Just very quickly, and I know you know this because I've shared it before, but the UCs are best funded in our state.
Right.
CSUs are about half as much as them. About a third of the amount that they get goes to K-12. And then last is the community colleges, yet we serve more than all of them do.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher when you, of course, a lot of things in life is a head scratcher for that matter. But when you think about this, and anybody who has spent time, either as a student like I have, or have worked with you folks and your colleagues at Mesa, and certainly at San Diego City in the adult ed, and Greg Smith as your chancellor is spectacular and been on the show quite a bit. And as are your colleagues up and down, the county, without question, Palomar and Miracosta. Absolutely. And, I think as more and more people get engaged, they hear about these four-year schools that are popping up in the community colleges, the pathways that are growing on it, just it's phenomenal. I continue to make this offer to you, Wes, and you've been so wonderful to take us up on it. I know you're drinking out of a fire hose a lot of times, but would love to have you again next 3 months, once a quarter. Always
Absolutely.
Love to have you come in. You always have a different content, and you're very appreciative of the fact that You never know who's listening in there.
That is so true,
Yeah.
and thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, the benefit is our audience. To tell you the truth, and we're going to look forward to having you back on as another return appearance. I'll send you some other dates that you can choose what you want to do, and just wishing you guys continued phenomenal success. Dr. Wes Lundburg, president of San Diego Miramar College. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.